Okay, let's review dividing fractions now. So here is our rule for dividing fractions. It says if we've got two fractions, a over b and c over d, then if we divide these fractions, that is the same thing as if we changed it to a multiplication and flipped this second fraction. Notice that these two are flipped over from each other. Basically, a good way to look at it is to say we never ever divide by a fraction. Instead, we multiply by the reciprocal. Remember, reciprocal means flipping basically a fraction over. Let's look at how this works. Here we have a problem that says 9 over 10 divided by 3 over 5. Now we don't divide fractions. Instead, we change it to a multiplication and we flip the second fraction. Now this just becomes a multiplication problem, which we've already reviewed. Remember, we can do some canceling first. 3 will go into 3 one time, and 3 goes into 9 three times. 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 10 two times. So now we have 3 times 1, which is 3, and 2 times 1, which is 2. So this would be an improper fraction because the top is bigger than the bottom. We could change that over to the mixed number by doing the division. 3 divided by 2. Because remember, that's all a fraction is, basically, is a division problem. So 2 goes into 3 one time with 1 left over. So that would be 1 whole one with 1 out of 2 left over. Now you're going to want to really watch your directions to see whether they're telling you to write your answers as fractions, which means improper is okay, or if they say write it as a fraction, as a whole number or a mixed number. In that case, they want it changed over into the mixed number format. Okay, now what happens if we're dividing mixed numbers? Well, we know what the rules are for dividing fractions. So let's change this over to just pure fractions before we start. Remember, we multiply and then add. 4 times 2 would be 8, plus 3 would be 11, and then we keep that same denominator. Divided by, I'm not changing this problem, I'm just rewriting them as fractions. 3 times 3 would be 9, plus 1 would be 10, over 3. Now we are dividing fractions. And the rule says we don't do that. Instead, we change it to a multiplication and we flip the second part. So now we're multiplying, and our rules for multiplying say we go straight across the top and straight across the bottom unless we can cancel. In this case, we can't reduce anything down first. You might be tempted to cancel with the 4 and the 10, but you can't do that because those are both denominators. Remember, it has to be one numerator and one denominator only. So in this case, the only thing we can do is just multiply 11 times 3, which is 33, and 4 times 10, which is 40. Now, this will not reduce down any further. So this is actually our answer. Remember, when you're doing these, take things one step at a time and then look to see at each step, are there any rules that I need to apply here?